Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are doing awesome. So let me set the context for today's video first. So when you push your code to GitHub, so how Jenkins automatically know? So does Jenkins keep checking GitHub every second, or does GitHub notify Jenkins somehow? So the notification mechanism is called the webhook. So in this video, we are going to truly understand what is a webhook with the live example of GitHub and Jenkins. Okay, so the real problem was, the core problem was here. They had to pull. So every second, like your Jenkins have to check for the new commit to the GitHub. Is there any new commit, new commit, new commit? But most of the time the answer is no, but it takes you a lot of times, networks and CPU. So but the webhook actually solves this problem. So in this video we'll see like what is a webhook actually and how it works, and we'll see the live demo of your Jenkins and GitHub, like whenever you are pushing something on your GitHub, how the job or build triggers on your Jenkins. So without any further ado, let me quickly share my screen and see you there. I hope you can see my screen. Let me cross check here. Yep, it's recording. Perfect, cool. I hope I am audible, screen is visible. Okay, cool. So what a webhook really is? We can simply say a webhook is HTTP post request sent from one server to another when an event occurs. So I can simply write here HTTP post request sent from one server to another when an event occurs. Cool, that's it. Simple HTTP post request, nothing special, no magic here. Okay, so that's simple, just HTTP post request when an event occurs. So that's your webhook. Okay, so there is a general webhook model we have. Okay, so just to remember, every webhook has three components. So like the event, target URL and the payload. So event means something happened, and the target URL is where should I send the notification, because what this is doing, like in the context of GitHub, when you are pushing something, it is sending a notification via your webhook to like something happened here. Okay, so the event is something happened, the target URL where should I send the notification, and third is the payload, what data should I send. So these are the three components that we have to understand in the webhook. Okay, I have one example for this as well. Okay, so apply this to GitHub and Jenkins. Same three components: event, target URL and payload. Event could be your code pushed to GitHub. I can use the laser. Yeah, code pushed to GitHub. So when we are pushing something to the GitHub, so that is event. Okay, target URL, Jenkins webhook endpoint. So inside Jenkins you can configure the GitHub plugins, and there we have the webhook endpoint, Jenkins webhook. Okay, so that you can configure, and that is the target URL where I have to notify, and payload is the information about the commit and the branch. Cool, this is the payload, and this is like a small architecture. Oh, the white screen. Okay, so this is the Jenkins with GitHub architecture. So suppose user with SSH session, the commit happened to the GitHub. Now webhook to trigger Jenkins pipeline. So suppose you are it's on port 8080. I'll show you like on which port my Jenkins is. Probably it's on the somewhere hosted on your own on instance of AWS or somewhere, but you can understand, and just like currently it is on port 8080, although it's running on my port 8080 locally. Okay, so on Jenkins it will pull the code, test the code, build the code, and deploy the code. So these all steps you have to define in the pipeline. Okay, then deploy to Docker, and that is the port and port mapping, everything you define in the Docker, like docker run and -p for the port number and all this, and EC2 instance public IP, and they access the application user from the browser. So this is just a high level, like how the entire workflow happens here. User push their changes or commit to the GitHub, or that could be a GitHub or Bitbucket or might be Azure DevOps. So when they push or commit something to their branch, then a pipeline triggers, it pull the code, test, suppose you have written the unit test cases or anything like that. So it will validate that. If everything works, the build will be successful and your job will be completed, and else if breaks, the build will be failed and the entire process will be stopped. So this is the simple architecture for that. And what do we have next? Okay, so next we have the we'll see these all one by one. So next we have the important clarification. So here your GitHub does not decide, GitHub doesn't know anything about your CI rules. It's the entire job of GitHub is to just trigger the webhook, send a post request to the dedicated URL, and that's all. What will happen there, what next, what you have to do there, like you have to build, run the unit test and everything, that's the responsibility of your downstream server, not of your GitHub and the webhook. The webhook job is to just send the notification like this event has been occurred and this is the payload. The downstream server will do their responsibility, or what should be done next. Okay, like who decides? So next we have who decides what to build. So here your Jenkins, in our case we have Jenkins, so your Jenkins will decide what to build, like the code, and do we have to deploy or the unit test and all those stuff. Okay, so so it's time for the live demo and setup. So let me show you. I have configured few things here. So the very first you must have the Jenkins must be running on your local, or you may have hosted somewhere if that's a good thing, but currently I'm running on my local using the Docker. You can run. So here is your Jenkins, and also you have to go inside this and you have to set up your I would say the admin account for Jenkins. If you don't know how to do that, drop a comment how to use Jenkins from scratch, then I'll definitely create a short video on that, how you can run Jenkins on your local. It's a straightforward simple command of Docker that you can run, and afterwards you can just go to the interactive shell of your Jenkins container, and inside that you can just go into the where home and you can just get the password for your admin panel and you can create your admin account there. So I have done all those steps. If you want how you can do that, then if you want me to create a dedicated video on that, so just drop a comment, I'll create video on that. Okay, so what else, you must have one where is my GitHub and Jenkins? Oh, it's only running here. Okay, so this is my GitHub. So this is my GitHub and this is my Jenkins. As you can see, it's running on my port 8080 localhost, but here we have something like currently Jenkins is running on my port localhost 8080, but for working with the webhook I must need some URL which is valid and where I can just ping, but from the GitHub I cannot ping my HTTP URL. I need some HTTPS security, So for that, what I am using here local tunnel. So you can also check that out. What it does, it basically expose your HTTP to HTTPS, provide a URL to you. Okay, so that you can use local tunnel npm. I am using this one. Also you can use the ngrok for the same, but just a second. But I am using npm here, this local tunnel here. You can use this if you want to expose your port 8080 to the outer world. You can just run this command npx local tunnel and you can define your port number. It will give you the corresponding domain with the https. And if you want to install globally, I think you can check this out, this documentation. It's pretty straightforward. There's nothing fancy or that you won't understand. Okay, so it's a basic one. Cool. So my Jenkins is running here. So let's first start with the local tunnel one. So I'll run this command npx local tunnel and then your port. Jenkins is running on my port 8080, so that's why I'm defining port 8080 and I'll hit enter. And now as you can see, it is giving me this your URL, and now my Jenkins has been exposed to this URL to the outer world with the HTTPS. And how you can verify that? You can just go here, paste this URL, and it will ask you to enter the password to go to this URL. But as you can see here, if running the local tunnel client on a local computer, visit the link in a web browser on a PC with the same network, you will get your password. So I'll click here. So I'll simply paste my password. Perfect. You can sign into Jenkins. Cool. So as of now, I'll skip this. So I have copied my HTTPS domain for that. Now I'll go to settings of my repo. I'll go to webhooks section. Okay. Now here, this is the webhook that I created. So what you have to do, you have to just create the webhook. When you will click on create, here you have to define the URL that you have copied from your terminal that has been provided by the local tunnel. Okay, not this. So the URL I copied. So this is the URL. I'll go here, and first the payload URL is the URL, and then we have to use the GitHub webhook. This should be GitHub webhook to work with the Jenkins webhook, because inside the Jenkins we have there is a GitHub plugin, and that is dedicated, or we can say the configured with your GitHub webhook URL. Okay, so this domain you have to use, and your Jenkins domain, or like where you are exposing your Jenkins, that could be anything but should be HTTPS. And content type, you can define application.json, and also you can define the secret if you want, but as of now you can just ignore that. I'll tell you, like, for the security, what we have in terms of security. And here we are just saying which events would you like to trigger. Just the push events, and you have to just here you will get the option of create webhook. I'll simply click there, and your webhook has been created. So what you can do, you can simply, when you will go to your webhooks, you will see this green tick over there, which means your webhook is active. If instantly it doesn't appear over there, or you get the red dot there, so it might take 1 or 2 minutes to spin up or to ready your webhook. Then just allow 1 or 2 minutes, you will get the green tick, which means it is the indication that your webhook is active and ready to use. The next, what we have to do, we have to go inside the Jenkins. You have to just define one build. You will go there, and where's the configuration? So what you have to do, you have to provide description if you want, but for the source code management you have to define the git, because we are using GitHub over there. Here you can define your git repository. Same steps you will follow for your GitHub, Bitbucket and your Azure DevOps, because those all are your version control system based on Git. So you can simply define your Git here, the URL, Git URL of your repo. Credentials you can define. I have assigned the credentials and the secrets, so like nobody can just simply post a request using that webhook. So that's for the security concern, like define your secret key over there for the webhook. I'll cover this in the upcoming security section. Cool. You can define the credentials, and here you can specify the branch, like for which branch you wanna run the this build. Okay, so I have defined main here, like whenever something happened to the main branch, you have to, whenever push event occurs to the main branch, you have to what do you have to do? You have to build the pipeline or run this job. Okay, so rest of the fields you can just skip over there. Then comes to the triggers section. This is important. Here you have to select GitHub hook trigger for git scm pulling. Here pulling doesn't mean we are pulling, it just tell don't pull from GitHub until an event occurs or it sends you the notification. Just wait for the notification. Poll scm means we have to continuous polling from the GitHub, but the git scm polling defines that you have to wait until you get the notification. Okay, and then rest of the fields you can just as of now keep it unchecked. This is just a basic one how you can configure that, but it's vast, you can explore more and more and more. Cool. So for the build steps I use the execute shell over there, and I have just running this build triggered by GitHub webhook and the current date and time, at what time it triggers. Okay, so nothing fancy here, just a simple straightforward. If you will check out the documentation, or I think it's self-explanatory, you don't have to just understand more things here. It's a self-explanatory. I don't think so you need a dedicated video, because I was using the Jenkins first time, so the steps and the documentation were self-explanatory to understand this, like how you can configure the basic build inside Jenkins. Okay, so that you have to do. And now what will happen? So as you can see, as of now 6 builds has been run for that webhook, and now I'll show you like how it triggers. So let me take this, I'll split this window. Here we have this no, so the 6 builds has been run, and we can also minimize this. Is this coming in the frame? Yeah, it's readable. Cool. So what I will do, I am on the main branch. So what I will do, I'll simply add one file here, create new file, or I'll simply say here test.md, and here I can simply say hola, I am pushing my change to main. I got notification. What was that? Okay, I'll check later. Cool. So you have to click on commit changes, and here I'm committing my change to the main branch. And whoopsie. Now one more thing, till now the job or the pipeline, the new name is the same as the current name. I don't wanna I'm just waiting why it's not triggered yet. So let me check with the webhook. So now there is a scenario like if you thought that you have commit the change to the main branch, and if you want to check like whether this is triggered, like webhook post request has been sent or not. So what you can do, you can see the server logs of your GitHub, and or what you can do, you can just go inside the webhooks section here and go. It's not working. Last delivery was not successful, invalid HTTP response 503. So how you can debug, just click on your webhook, and here's a section for recent deliveries. Just go here and you can click on that particular event and check. It's saying 503 response, keep alive, tunnel unavailable. Okay, terminate bad job, no. I don't know somehow why my tunnel was not available there. I'll update my webhook here. The domain I have to update here. I'll update this and I'll check if it's available. Now I have the tunnel. I know that last was not successful. Cool, I'll go here and again I'll just change into this. Try again. I'll commit my change. Let's see, hopefully if it works this time. I'm not sure what's happening here. Let me check again. Again, it seems not available. Failed to. I can try with the redeliver. Oh yeah, as you can see, now it has been redelivered and a notification came to your Jenkins and the pipeline has been triggered. So if I'll go here, I'll see the console output, build triggered by GitHub webhook, and yeah, this is the time zone. It's showing in UTC, as you can see. Crazy. It's totally automated. Sometimes it fails, so that you can do, you can just try with redeliver and all those, but for that you can see the logs, or you can automate these as well with the retry mechanism. But the whole purpose is to, like, you send the just a post request from your webhook and your Jenkins is not just pulling from the your GitHub. It just wait when an event occurs or notification comes to the Jenkins, it complete the task or the whatever stages you have defined in your pipeline. Okay, it built that pipeline based on that. So let's continue with the remaining stuff we have. So we have done with the live demo setup. Okay, and now we have the forks and branches. So now you might have a question, when someone forks your branch and just commit to that branch, so what will happen in that case? In that case, our webhook will send a notification to the Jenkins or not? No, nothing will happen, because the Jenkins, we have configured the job based on your repo, not on the code. When you fork, that is your own custom repo, but we have configured on the user's repo. As I mentioned, I use the credentials for my own, so that is on one repo, not the repo in everywhere. Okay, that's a different, if you fork, that's a different clone of your, that's your personal repo, not the owner's repo. Okay, so but yeah, what about the branches? But if you are creating any branch, suppose I'm on the main branch, I was on the main branch, I just created one feature branch from the main one. At that moment it will send a notification to the Jenkins, but Jenkins will ignore that because that is a branch one. We are not pushing anything to main because we have set inside our build pipeline that I just want to run this build only for the main. Whenever someone is sending a push event to the main branch only. Okay, so if we talk about the security, like why webhooks are safe, so like it's like no one can send a post request because webhooks use your secrets, which is signed by your SHA 256. Or on the Jenkins side, it verifies like whether the same SHA has been sent in the request header or the payloads. It verifies the signature. If that is same, only then it run their plan of action, the steps you have defined in the pipeline. But if it doesn't match, it rejects the request and it doesn't do the whatever in the pipeline. So that is the, like, always just define. So because if there is no secret or no security feature, then anyone could run with the post request. You just have to make a post request. But how your Jenkins will identify that whether this is a valid request or an authentic request or not? Okay, so can we see this webhook in the browser or network tab? So yeah, this was the question for me as well initially. Like, if we are sending just a post request, so couldn't we just see in the network tab? No, because we cannot see that. The answer is no. But the answer is no, you cannot see or watch this post request in the browser's network tab because it's server to server communication. You are not sending client to the server. From GitHub, it will send from your GitHub server to the Jenkins server. Okay, so but what you can do, as I showed you there, like you can just go to the webhooks section, and inside your recent deliveries or your GitHub server logs, you can just check what happened, whether this was successful or not. Or you can just try with redeliver, or you can see the response. Cool. Like with that response, I got like, okay, this delivery was failed because tunnel was unavailable. So you can just check those. These are the basic the logs here. So with these logs you can understand these things. So yeah, that's all. A quick wrap up. If we talk about like what is your webhook, so it's HTTP post request sent from one server to another when an event occurs. That's it. A plain simple, no magical, nothing magic. So no magical protocol. It's a simple. So yeah, that's all for this video. If you found this video helpful or useful, then don't forget to like, subscribe or share. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, keep learning, keep growing. Bye bye.